and welcome to the NGO CSW 66 Open Forum, the first one ever hosted by NGO CSW New York. We are so pleased to have you all here today, and we want you to know that you're going to be provided with lots of information, so hold on to your hats. I think that we're going to have a very, very good time. Close to 1,300 people registered to be here today, so we get the message that interest is high. But before I go on, I want to introduce myself to you. I am Pamela Morgan, a representative of Zonta International to the UN and co-chair of the NGO CSW 66 Forum. We're going to launch a poll to see how many of you are here with NGO CSW for the first time. So I'm going to ask Devin if she could please launch the poll. If this is your first time joining the NGO CSW Forum or UN CSW, please answer yes. Otherwise, please answer no. And we'll have the results in just a few minutes. Okay. The fact that the stars aligned and we're kicking off UN CSW 66/NGO CSW 66 Forum with its priority theme of climate change, environmental and disaster risk reduction during COP26 is a reminder of the monumental importance of this theme. In today's program, where you're going to be introduced to content as well as process regarding CSW 66, we're going to provide a great deal of information that you'll be able to review from now to March 14th, hopefully enabling you to knowledgeably participate in CSW 66. Please grab pen and paper and be prepared to take notes for future reference. Be sure to note questions during the presentation and put them in the chat. We will address as many as possible during the Q&A. Also, we'd like for you to visit NGO CSW website, www.ngocsw.org, as it has useful reference tools. And while you're on the site, please become a member of NGO CSW and truly work with us to make the world a better place for women and girls. I will now turn the microphone over to my co-chair, Rosa Flores.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches, bonjour. I'm Rosa Lizardi. I am also the co-chair of the NGO CSW Forum. We welcome you here today. Thank you so much for being here with us. I'm so excited that we are reaching about 400 participants today. And we will have the results of the poll, but let me just welcome you today and let you know that we're so excited to be able to bring this information to you in preparation for CSW 66, in preparation for the NGO CSW 66 Forum. In the next hour, we are going to be bringing pertinent information that will help you plan for the NGO CSW, for the UN CSW. We are excited that this will be the second virtual forum ever. And we know that the last forum was 20,000 plus strong. We had incredible participation. We had a very inclusive and safe virtual forum for 2 weeks with over 700 side events. And we are preparing to have even more success in NGO CSW 66. We're hoping to be able to host 50,000 NGO representatives on the platform. We will hear all about the platform. We will hear about how you can get involved. I'm really curious to find out who's here for the first time. But honestly, whether it's your first time or your 25th time, for me, CSW 66 will be the 25th time that I attend an NGO forum or the CSW. So whether it's the first time or the 25th time, this is a time for all of us to mobilize globally. We are really reaching all the regions with this virtual platform, and we're really excited to be able to do this, particularly under the themes of climate change, which, as Pamela mentioned, right now we are beginning another UN process on climate change in Glasgow, and that is of utmost importance. We're going to be focusing on the environment and also on disaster risk reduction, which is so important for vulnerable states. So we welcome you. We have 1 hour plus planned. Let me just say, the first hour will be content, and the last half an hour is going to be open for questions. So whether you want to stay for the very end, you're very welcome. But we have a packed agenda. We have representatives from a representative from the UN Women. We hope to be able to have a representative from the Bureau, and we have also executive committee members, which you will meet shortly, who will be providing pertinent information about NGO CSW 66 and the UN CSW. So without further delay, let me introduce the NGO CSW chair, Huri Gedelekian, who will be presenting information and a welcome, and also introducing the executive committee. So, Huri, hello, welcome.
Thank you everyone. Thank you for being here. Well, if we're sharing how many years, this is my 10th anniversary. Actually, it's going to be 11 for the CSW. So I'm very excited to be representing you all as chair of NGO CSW. I'm actually lucky and privileged. I want to thank Rosa and Pamela for accepting to be the co-chairs of the forum. Some of you who have been around know that Ivy Cook, my vice chair, and myself were the co-chairs last year, and we put together a virtual event by the seat of our pants, as we say here in the United States. As difficult as COVID has been for all of us, I know many of you have heard me say this, we're actually honored and excited that it gave us an opportunity to bring even more voices for gender equality at the United Nations, you know, just to have advocacy, global advocacy, grassroots advocacy be heard at the United Nations. Now, I know that numbers alone are not enough. So this year we're upping the game a little bit. We're trying to be a bit more proactive in our advocacy and how we approach. And you will hear all about that later. But right now, I just want to say that, again, like I said, how proud I am of my team. I want to introduce you my team. And I just want everybody to know how important it is for us at NGO CSW that you all know the methodology that we work under. As Rosa said, we are trying to create a safe space so that all marginalized communities feel represented, and that we are progressive feminist movement that is actually pushing the needle forward and not backwards. And also, as a group of NGO CSW, our leadership model is a collaborative, transparent, shared leadership model. And we're going to keep doing this until it really becomes a way of life. I feel one of the things that I see even in the civil society section of our work, there's so much tension and there's so much pushback as far as my way or your way. And I think we should more and more think about our way. Think about abundance instead of scarcity. Whatever it is that we need, we are sisterhood to improve our status in this world. So that's my 2 pieces of mind this morning. And right now, I just want to acknowledge my amazing team, the executive committee, who are all part of the global planning committee. You will meet our global sisters later, but my immediate team here in New York City are amazing. And I just want to make sure that everybody gets on camera and says hello. And of course, our interns and Devin. We're a very small team. 99% of us are volunteers, for those of you who are new. Devin, are we going to be able to put our team on camera? I guess we'll wait a second to see how we can do this. Maybe not. Okay.
Do you want me to spotlight everyone?
Yes.
Okay, that's gonna take.
I'm sorry. I think it's really important that you recognize, and some of them you will hear from because they are going to be presenting later, but I just want to thank Margarita, Safira. Thank you all for all the hard work you put into Jillian, our new executive committee member. I know Terry is here. There's Ozzy. Fantastic. Thank you for being here and for doing everything that you do for us.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you. As we're still welcoming people too. Welcome anybody who's joining us right now. I am Huri Gedelekian, the chair of NGO CSW, introducing our New York team with executive committee, interns, Grace and Karina. Thank you for being with us. All right.
I think I added everyone who has their video on.
Wonderful. Thank you, Devin. And of course, you hear Devin, our fearless leader in the office. All right. Thank you again all for being here. Please take notes. And I know somebody in the chat asked for interpretation. We do not usually have interpretation. We're trying our best to get funding so that our main events in the forum will be interpreted, but this video itself will be uploaded with translation onto our YouTube channel and shared in our emails. So I am going to hand the mic over back to our co-chairs to continue our program, and I'll see you all later.
Thank you, Huri. Thank you so much. And we will continue with the program. We had hoped and planned for the UN CSW 66 Bureau Chief Ambassador Matu Joyini of South Africa to join us. I am not seeing her here. If Ambassador, if you are here, please make yourself known. But we'll be keeping an eye out to see if, oh, here we are, all of us together in little boxes. And we will see if we have the ambassador and we will integrate her into the program. But for now, what I'd like to do is move on to hear from our UN Women Representative, Patricia Torres. Patricia, I am thrilled to have you here. UN Women, as our counterparts in the UN, um, are with us, organizing every step of the way. Patricia Torres has been part of UN Women for many, many years. She's been the program manager for the Beijing Plus 25 and Generation Equality Forum. And she's also been UN Women Liaison for the Civil Society Division. So we welcome Patricia, bienvenida. Let's see if we can spotlight Patricia, who will be bringing information to us from UN Women around CSW 66.
Gracias, Rosa. Good morning, dear colleagues. I'm very happy to be here today with you. What he was saying, how many years she's been in here, I kind of remember her from many, many years back when we started to work together in 2014. But I've been working with in New York with UN Women since 2007. So you can make the math of how many years there have been lots of work and lots of friends from civil society that we have met and worked together. So thank you for inviting us to be part of this conversation. I just want to say that before I go to express a little bit more about the work that we are doing, just want to say that the CSW NGO Forum is a really important part of the overall conversation. You know, CSW is an intergovernmental space that is driven by member states, but the substance, the energy, the love, the push is driven by civil society. And this is why we really care about working together, bringing the voices of women and girls from around the world, bringing the voices of the intersectionals from around the world, because we are very conscious that we are not an homogeneous group, and that from grassroots up to the global scenarios, there are many, many kilometers in distance, and kilometers are much more distance, if much more away and much larger, if we don't have spaces like this one that open the microphone to the differences. So thank you so much for all this work that you have been doing over the years. And thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be here with you today. We are UN Women. My name is Patricia Torres. You already heard a very kind introduction from Rosa. Thank you so much about that. I just want to emphasize my message is this. CSW is one that meets every year. The Commission on the Status of Women has a council, is part of the Economic and Social Council, is the commission that is in charge of following up on the gender equality agenda. And we meet every year, member states meet every year in a 2-week session that goes through different priority themes and review themes to make sure that the agenda is kicking off, is progressing, and is being implemented, and no one is being left behind. That's the overall goal. And then we work together, as I was saying, with the civil society in a collaborative, very sisterly way, but in different tracks. So we have, and sometimes we come together and sometimes we go apart, but the goal is the same. And that's the richness of this, that we don't do parallel work, or it's the same goal, but in different tracks. So CSW has organized it over the years in 3 different tracks. One is the formal session, which is like the most ceremonial and where the decisions are taken, and it compromises the official meetings, including the opening, which is very well attended, the ministerial segment, the general discussions and interactive dialogues. It also has a very interesting, especially for the ones who haven't seen it before, a scenario where member states come together with the informal negotiations on the outcome document. for those who haven't been in here, you know that the outcome document of every year's negotiations is and agreed conclusions that are published in our website, and you can see and read on them and see how beautiful those documents are to inspire, to give advocacy tools to civil society, to the youth, to member states to push for the agenda to be further implemented. So this is one track. The other track is the side events. We organized with member states and UN entities, often in collaboration with civil society, numbers and numbers and numbers of side events. Those side events are usually 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, depending on what is going on. And basically, they are aligned with the priority theme or the review theme of the Commission. And that's a way to give a space to the different voices to share practices, to share concerns, to speak on the situations and the realities that women and girls face from around the world in the context of the discussion that is taking place. This year, we already heard it, the priority theme is about achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls in the context of climate change and risk reduction policies and programs. We have also a review theme this year that I'm sure you're going to be thrilled about it, which is women's economic empowerment in the changing world of work, which was the priority theme of CSW in its 61st session 5 years back. So I'm saying that this is the substantive package, but it can really give the opportunity to you to align, to bring your agenda through the lenses of these two, the priority theme and the review theme. And there are many interlinkages. There are many ways that those lenses can be brought together. And then we have the third track that is part of the process. So it's not something apart, it's part of the process. This third track is this, what we are starting here today, the NGO CSW Forum. And the NGO CSW Forum usually organizes a set of parallel events and a vibrant virtual community that is managed by the Secretariat of the NGO CSW Forum, and that has shown to be a very effective way to mobilize and to deepen the engagement of civil society in this global scenario. We have different tasks, as UN Women, we facilitate the discussions of the official meetings. We prepare all the background information that is needed for the substantiated discussions, the program, which is adopted by the Bureau, and the Bureau is the committee that is part of the CSW and that takes decisions and drives the CSW in collaboration with the UN Secretariat, which manages the meetings and conferences. So CSW is part of ECOSOC, and therefore all the registrations, the participations are part of or are accredited, must be accredited as ECOSOC CSW organizations.
Patricia.
Yes.
Perdón, this is Rosa. I just want to let people know that I know this is a lot of information that's coming at you. We will have a separate session right after we introduce the NGO CSWs from the region, which will highlight the differences between NGO CSW and UN CSW. So just so that you know that you're not overburdening everyone with information, we will be doing that separately. So
okay.
All right.
Okay, so then I'm just going to say that the decisions on how to participate are not taken by us. We facilitate, we give the space, but actually it is CSW Bureau and it is the Secretariat, the ones who open the doors. But what we do is to encourage delegations from the countries to bring along representatives from civil society and from the youth. We have different tracks in which the civil society is also be brought is one through the presentation of written statements. And then also we have the opportunity when time allows for representatives to actually speak in the formal sessions. We have from 2015, I believe we have made sure that youth is part of the formal presentations from the formal statements as well. So we organize this, also the parallel, the side events, which is another opportunity for all of us to bring together in the different conversations and bring the different agendas. We have the youth engagement, the Youth CSW Forum, which started in 2015, and it's a one-day event in which the youth come with their own organizations, and this youth forum is driven by them to be able to enable a space for them to bring their own perspectives and their own agendas through the lenses of the priority theme or the review theme, but from a youth and intersectional point of view. The other part that I already mentioned is that we encourage member states to bring along representatives from civil society and the youth to support and influence the negotiations of the outcomes. And then we have also always participated in the NGO briefings that are hosted by the NGO CSW session. So, and perhaps only say that this is when it comes to New York, when it comes to the session every year, but we also do a lot of preparatory work in the regions and in national, at the national level through the CSW reports, national reports, we support parallel reports, and we have also the regional consultations previous to CSW that are the preparatory spaces from the regions to discuss and agree on positions and help us to bring the realities when it comes to making the transitions from the countries to New York. So
Excellent.
probably I'll be stopping here. I hope that this is
Perfect.
informative and that we can continue with the discussion. Questions, of course, are most welcome.
Thank you so much, Patricia. As you all can see, she is a wealth of information. We will have her back in a bit to provide information about the distinctions between NGO CSW 66 and UN CSW 66. If anything you take from this session is knowing the differences between those two, because we receive so many questions about this. And you know, Patricia, you provided the best segue for our next section, which is on NGO CSWs in the region. So we will now introduce our partners in the region, and the NGO CSWs in the regions really offer an important resource for global collaboration, for people to connect regionally. They work regionally and also some work globally, and are really provide that global regional diversity to the NGO CSW organizing. NGO CSW Geneva and Vienna were formed shortly after the NGO CSW New York in 1973 and 1982, respectively. In 2016, NGO CSW Latin American in the Caribbean, NGO CSW in the MENA, Middle East, North Africa region, and NGO Asia Pacific, as well as the NGO CSW in Africa were established. That was in 2016. All are NGO CSW's substantive committees of the Conference of NGOs, and you can find this information on our website, NGOCSW.org. So without further delay, let me invite Lois Adu from the Africa NGO region. So if we can have Lois, and then we will go in this order. We will invite someone from the MENA region, Asia Pacific region, then we will move on to Latin American and the Caribbean, and then we will move on to Geneva and Vienna. So Lois, can we invite you to, in 2 minutes, just let us know what you're doing in the region for CSW. I know there's still a lot of planning, and how to be in touch for those who want to connect with NGO CSW in Africa.
Okay, so good afternoon, and pleased to represent the African region at this forum and to share our plans concerning NGO CSW 66. And I would say WILDAF, a network in collaboration with Feminet and then Women for Change Africa are the lead network organizations that are leading the Africa region in terms of planning for NGO CSW 66. And we have plans underway, such as planning for a consultative meeting. We also have Africa Women Caucus meeting that will have 2 sections during the session. At the various network levels, we will have our network members holding parallel sessions on issues bordering around climate change, and then other issues bordering on women's rights. And so we also have decided to have a planning meeting at the GMAC to strengthen how we could get other network members to be part of this process during the NGO CSW 66. So we hope to roll out more specific plans soon. But if you want to have any further information, Femnet, WILDAF, Women for Change Africa, that's Memory, Lois, and then Zonzua are the key lead personalities behind the Africa region in terms of planning for NGO CSW 66 next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lois. And if you want to put your email or the organization's email, if people want to be in touch, if you can please just put that in the chat. We want to make sure people are connected regionally and globally. So next, we will move on to the MENA region. And I am not seeing Diana. So while we look for Diana or Lena from the MENA region, let's move on to Asia Pacific, where I believe we have Carol Shaw and Helen Swales. One of you, just raise your hand and we will spotlight you. Excellent. Hi, Carol. Thank you for joining us, and we know it's very late where you are.
You're very welcome. Helen was going to give a presentation on the planning. She will be our main point of contact. Helen Swales will be the main point of contact for NGO CSW 66. She's our vice chair, newly appointed. Helen, oh, there she is. She's come online. So I'll let her speak, and I will put the ways to contact us into the chat. Helen.
Wonderful, Carol, and thank you. So what we're doing is we're starting meeting with our young people in the Asia Pacific region. We will be looking and discussing what we want to do with Consultation Day, what that might look like, whether it is a form of invitation or speakers. We're also looking at doing sub-regional in a
so much. Thank you so much, Carol and Helen. And please put any connecting information in the chat. And so we will move on to America Latina y el Caribe, Latin America and the Caribbean. I think we have Mabel Bianco.
Yeah, good morning.
Mabel, hola, buenos días.
Good morning, everybody. Buenos dias, good afternoon, good night. I'm Mabel Bianco, the co-chair for the NGO CSW for Latin America and the Caribbean. And we have been working since our creation, putting together both groups of our constituency, because as you know, we have the people from the Caribbean, that they are Anglophone speakers or other speaking, because we have French and we have also Portuguese, as on all the Latin America that we are, most of us speaking Spanish. For us, it's a great pleasure to be and to have the opportunity in another NGO forum online, virtual fully, to participate. We are preparing for that. First of all, we have a membership that is very broad because, as you know, in our region, we are very active at national and regionally and global level. So we are preparing all together the regional meeting that is going to be early February this year for preparation for the CSW, and the global is the CSW. In both of them, what we try is to prepare a document in which we put our ideas, our proposals, and we tried at the regional level to have a strong discussion with our governments, because we have a good relations. Meanwhile, we have difference, of course, but it's a very important issue that we arrive to the CSW with the proposal from the government all together and with the support of ourselves. We try and we have been successful in the last year, so we hope this year is going to be the same. By the other hand, for the CSW, we are planning to have a side event in the official sessions, but in the forum, we are going to be very active as we have been last year. First of all, we are going to have a first day to inform, to meet all of us. It's going to be Sunday afternoon. We are going to have an important event for the youth and adolescents in our region. And today is with me Fernanda Vasquez from Elige Mexico, because we are working with 3 young people representing the networks of young people in the English Caribbean and in Latin America, including the group of indigenous women that the young and adolescents are very active. So we are going to have this meeting as one of the important ones, because we hope they are going to be really strong actors. And finally, we will have some other side events, but principally what we want is to share with all the Latin America and the Caribbean, but also with other regions. So maybe we are going to have some side event with other regions in order to be able to have more exchange among ourselves and not be isolated, Latin America and the Caribbean. Meanwhile, we are far away everywhere. So if you want, myself or Fernanda, we are going to put our addresses in the chat, and please contact us, and we are very happy to let you know and invite and be together. Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you so much, Mabel. And let me move on to NGO CSW Geneva. We have Carolyn Hanshin. I think she's with us and will be speaking. May I remind people we're asking 2-minute updates? Thank you. Hello,
Yes.
Carolyn.
Hello, everyone. Greetings from Geneva. I think I'm joined by 2 other members of the Global Planning Committee from here, from International Geneva. That is Carol McConkie, our Vice President, and also Shruti Lekka, who is the Youth Task Force leader. And I think Stacy, Laura, also just recent past president, is also here. So first of all, I just wanted to say thank you, especially to our CSW66 Secretariat and the Ambassador and UN Women, because we have really come out running, I feel, from CSW65 with some kind of recommendations that I think came from all over the world, but really with quite a willingness to listen, I felt, from these secretariat, and it's really very, very encouraging. So I think we're very hopeful. From Geneva's side, we have things planned, and we still are working on other ideas. Maybe 2 points just to mention would be, we held our first consultation day last year, and I think it was really success. It was really very good, and it was a good learning for us, and we like to do that again this year. We'd like to do it better. Probably the focus will be something related to the highlights of civil society government partnership, of course, in light of the themes of the year, and also with a focus also on some of the bodies that are represented here in Geneva, some of the agencies, and like CEDAW or Human Rights Council, different bodies that we find at our base here. Also, we plan a youth conference. This will be, and also what we want to offer is multiple languages, because Geneva is an international headquarters for the UN. We have, of course, we're not just responsible even for European languages, but globally. So we will really do our best to do everything that we are doing in multiple languages, so as to be as inclusive as possible. And we have planned this youth conference, which perhaps we will do with some part of these things we will do with Vienna. But this will be a kind of recreation of the government processes of the CSWs. So youth will work together with some of our more experienced NGOs here in Geneva to develop a zero draft, to go through the negotiations and come to the agreed conclusions that can be presented maybe sometime in January already to the CSW66 and UN Women. So we look forward to hearing from you. If you have some thought on this or desire to participate, I will put my email in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. Thank you for that information. Okay, now we will move on to NGO CSW Vienna, and we have Lori Richardson. And while we get Lori, let me just say that all the NGO CSW in the regions are part of our Global Planning Committee, where we have 3 representatives, one of which is a youth, and many regions already have an alternate youth. So we're very inclusive of ensuring that we have youth and diversity as part of the Global Planning Committee. Lori, let's highlight Lori.
Thanks so much, Rosa, and hello everyone from Vienna. I'm Lori Richardson, the chair of NGO CSW Vienna, and I want to say that following up on Rosa's introduction of the Global Planning Committee, we've really started a process over a year ago of all of us who you've just heard introduce ourselves working together, and it's been a great experience, I think, for all of us, and it's really brought, I think, the global women's movement much closer together, even though we can't meet in person. As Carolyn, my colleague from NGO CSW Geneva has talked about, we do hope to work together on several events, including an NGO CSW Forum Consultation Day. We plan to do some NGO Forum events from Vienna together with our colleagues because of the priority theme. We're going to plan to work together with the Committee on Sustainable Development here in Vienna. So to bring some other organizations and some other expertise to bear on these important issues. And I think that's about all I have to say. I'm looking at the clock and we want to give everybody a chance to ask their questions. I just want to say,
Thank you.
We're learning so much in this process and we need to work together and collaborate and make the changes happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lori. I think that's it. The message is we want to work together, everyone here on the call. We're so happy that we have over 450 participants on this call. So thank you all for joining, and please connect with the NGO CSWs in the region. Of course, with us here globally. I am going to hand over back to my colleague, Pamela, who will introduce the next segment. And we are running a little behind. As we mentioned, we do have that extra half-hour buffer for questions, and many of them are already coming up in the chat, and Devin and Hootie and others are answering. So this is a really important section coming up. So Pamela, take it away. Thank you. Unmute, and there we go.
Oops. Thank you, Rosa. We've received reports that one of the most confusing aspects of CSW is differentiating between UN CSW and NGO CSW Forum. Now, Hootie got to look in, our fearless leader and our UN Women Liaison, Patricia Torres, are going to help clarify this for you. Hootie and Patricia.
Thank you. Thank you all. I know we are running a little bit late, but I'm so excited to have this segment with my friend, Patricia, but let me just briefly take 30 seconds to say how important the regional section was. And that, and I see a lot of questions referring to this, and I'm sorry, I'm like multitasking here and not able to answer so many of them, but we will definitely zero in on it. It is so important for us at NGO CSW that we reach as many people, as diverse people, as marginalized people as possible as we go into CSW 66, which is why we're trying to strengthen and empower our regions as much as possible. The consultations that I'm hoping and we're working diligently on in each of the region, both within civil society, but with UN Women regional offices, national offices, and member states. This is the key if we're going to find success in anything that we do going forward. What we learned with CSW 65 is invaluable. It is so important that we do show member states and multi-stakeholder entities that want to see change with us, that civil society can galvanize. We can bring in marginalized people. We do not, just select those who have a voice, who have a laptop, who have access. We try to bring as many people as possible. And speaking of which, I just want to explain something about our MENA region. Lina Abu Habib and Diana Abbas are amazing advocates who are working around the clock, but it is really telling to also explain why sometimes they can't attend meetings. Lebanon right now is going through the worst crises ever, as you all know. They literally don't even have electricity, let alone laptops. Even if we get them laptops, they can't really join try to recreate ourselves so that we do reach more people. Anyway, I want to welcome my colleague from UN Women, Patricia, back on the screen, and also say that as friendly as we are, as close as we work together, it is really important for all of you to know we are two separate entities. UN Women is literally UN, right? They work for UN, they answer to member states, they have their own mandates, they have their own secretariat, they're different. So in a lot of ways, we respect each other's differences and leave each other alone in certain areas. But then we are so lucky that there are humans at UN Women who understand the importance of civil society voices and fight for us with member states sometimes to make sure our voices are included. We, on the other hand, as civil society, we are free to speak up. We are free to scream off the top of our lungs for the injustices that happen in this world. And I want to make sure that we set up a situation, a portal, whatever you want to call it, that we bring your voices in. So let's start with this. I know we're running really short on time. Welcome back, Patricia, and it's really good to have you here. Let me just explain then what we're saying. NGO CSW's role for 50 years now, by the way, we didn't mention this because we're so focused on the forum. In 2022, we're going to celebrate our 50th anniversary. So get ready for some really fun activities after January. But right now, this is our 50th year of convening civil society voices into the UN. We don't work for the UN, we don't get paid by the UN. And then the difference is, for example, Patricia, you tell me, what is UN Women?
So UN Women is an organization, it was created in 2010, and it is the only organization that focuses solely on the empowering of women and girls and the furthering of the gender equality from around the world.
Yeah. So I'm gonna to save time, I'm gonna go through my list quickly and then you go through your list. This way we'll be much quicker. Okay. So we are the conveners. We are a feminist women's rights groups and networks, as you saw in the regions and globally. NGO CSW New York is the global representation of all of these regions, right? We are non-government organizations, mostly ECOSOC accredited, but we make sure we welcome organizations and civil society advocates who are not even ECOSOC accredited. Those voices can't even get into the UN. A lot of ECOSOC accredited organizations can go straight to the UN without us, but we make sure all voices are heard. Because we convene these voices, we prepare our own gathering, which is a separate registration for a forum, right? And now that we experience this virtual aspect, I think the rest of as far as we're in charge, we're going to keep that virtual platform portal open as long as possible. Even if there are meetings in person, we want to make sure, because we saw how many more people were able to access it virtually. So we want to make sure that we raise funds so that we can have these portals for your voices. So the parallel events will be hosted virtually. Written the statements to CSW and interventions are through UN and NGOs, and you all heard about the NGO CSW in the regions. So Patricia, I'm going to give you the mic now to go through your list so that we can move on. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are as a UN Women, we are the Secretariat of CSW, the Commission of the Status of Women, which is an intergovernmental gathering, and is the one who drives the processes of around the gender equality agenda within the UN system. So this is the commission in charge. The CSW has a bureau that is basically the decision-making body that drives the process and the organization of the process, the managing of the process. The CSW invites the United Nations agencies and member states to be part of this gathering, and also CSW accredited to ECOSOC, NGOs accredited to ECOSOC that participate as delegates from the different organizations and member states. We do hold side events hosted by NGOs, by civil society, by the UN system, by member states, that are aligned with the theme, the thematic focus of the year. We also have different expert panels and opportunities to discuss from the nations to the regions to the global on the substantive issue that is at the stake. And as we already mentioned, we also have the CSW regional preparatory meetings, which are key intergovernmental and consultation processes that will fit directly to what happened in the annual session here in New York. So for us, it's not just that we work for UN women, for women around the world, we work with UN women from around the world. And I think that this is a very important emphasis, because it's not just what we do for women, but it's the fact that because we exist as part of the UN system, then we open the door for the voices of women and girls from around the world to be part of this global conversation at the national, at the regional, and then here in New York at the global level. This year for CSW66, we don't know yet what is the decision that the Bureau and the UN Secretary will take in terms of the format, whether we are going to have a hybrid or in person, but what we know is that there is tons of expectations to have a very active participation and very engaging participation for this year in March. So we look forward to seeing you all engage either by the virtual spaces opened by our sisters from the NGO community, or in our side events and our program here in New York virtually, or in the inside. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Patricia. And then if you want to stick around for Q&A, you're welcome. If not, don't worry about it. We can handle this, but thank you so much. And so before I move on, and that will be my final comment until the Q&A later, I just want to say that the chair of CSW was not able to join us. There's still meetings going on at UN. She must have been interrupted, stuck in some other meeting. Here's the most important part right now. We still don't know if CSW66, like Patricia said, will be hybrid. Will civil society have access to the UN? We don't know that. That's why we are moving forward with the idea that we will gather virtually and be prepared if there will be a hybrid session. But right now there isn't. And just to let you know that my team has met with at least 4 out of 5 members or 3 out of 5, we're about to meet with the 4th of the Bureau. And we're very, very excited about the strong Bureau that we have. They are very civil society friendly. They're promising us that they want to push for in-person negotiations, and that is on the member state side. It is important for member states to be together to negotiate, because last year they were very frustrated on the virtual platform on their own. And also, if it is in person, they're going to work with us to have at least some civil society representation, local civil society representation. We are not encouraging for anybody to travel to New York for so many different reasons, right? It is not fair for our Global South sisters who do not have access to shots. And then, we want to make sure that everybody has equal access. So this is what we're going to do from New York to provide the space for you. So just to let you know that we are meeting with member states. You will hear about our advocacy and research in a minute. We're doing the best to bring your voices there. And now I'm going to concentrate on answering questions in the chat. Thank you, Rosa and Pam. And sorry we went over in time, but we do have that extra 30 minutes. Go for it.
Thank you, Huri. Now we will move on. And thank you, Patricia, for that information. As Devin has been putting in the chat, we will be providing this information as a follow-up. Get on our listserv, NGOCSW.org. So we will move on to introducing some of the NGO CSW subcommittees of the forum. And we have a complete team from executive committee members as well as other volunteers representatives from the region who are part of the Global Planning Committee organizing the forum. We have a subcommittee on virtual parallel events, and we will hear more about those parallel events in a moment. We have a subcommittee on conversation circles, which are in-depth study areas during the forum. We will have a virtual artisan fair where colleagues from around the world can feature their artisan work. We will have a virtual exhibit hall, which we will hear more about. And as always, we will have a handbook. This year, again, it will be a digital handbook. And we have an orientation and advocacy training subcommittee, which we will hear from today. We realize this is a lot of information, but for today, we're only going to focus on the pertinent information around orientation, parallel events, and advocacy. We have an advocacy research group, which will be providing information today about how to engage in the advocacy component of our work. And we have a communications subcommittee, which we will be receiving more information from the communications and other subcommittees as time goes on. For today, we will be highlighting information about the virtual portal and the virtual parallel event. So I'm going to invite Devin Zinkler, who is our program manager, and you have met her in the chat. And Devin, if you can please join so you can give an overview of the virtual portal, the virtual parallel events. Devin?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Let me spotlight myself. Okay. Yeah, so if you were part of the forum or attended the forum last year, we are using the same portal. So that same pathable, setup. So it'll look very, very similar and familiar. So yeah, and then so virtual parallel events, they will be all virtual. And this year, organizers will be using their own communications platforms. So Zoom, Google Meets, WebEx. It's totally up to you, whatever platform you would like to use. And this way, it really just gives the organizers a lot more control over their event. If you hosted a parallel event last year, you might remember that there were, you had to join the green room 20 minutes early and you couldn't get in any earlier than that. Interpretation was kind of hard to establish before the meeting. So this just gives you like total control over like the technical aspects of your event. And then on the actual NGO CSW or NGO CSW Forum portal, there'll be, all the information. You'll still have your event page with all the information there with a link to join your event. So this just kind of, gives you a lot more access to be able to prepare more in terms of that technical way. We will be sending a ton of information and resources about the portal, how to navigate it, information for parallel event organizers, everything you need to know. We'll send some resources about some of the most popular communications platforms for anyone who needs that. So don't worry right now about, figuring out all this tech stuff. We're totally there for you in that way. And we'll be sending a lot of resources. They'll be available on our website, on our YouTube channel, on our social media. So be on the lookout for those things. A really significant, important part of, this virtual forum in general is our virtual safety guidelines. Once I'm done, I will put the link in the chat so you guys can actually click and read them. But essentially, they are based on respect, just be respectful. We really, really want to create a safe, inclusive environment in this virtual space. And yeah, like y'all's safety and comfortableness is really what's most important to us, especially in this virtual climate. So I will send the chat so you guys can see that. And also these are, you know, we do strictly enforce these guidelines as well. So we expect parallel event organizers and participants to not only uphold these guidelines and follow them, but also kind of enforce them in your own events. And we also have a specific email that people can send any reports of you know, anything that violates these guidelines. So we also have a reporting structure in place as well. And then the last thing is that our the NGO CSW Forum portal website is still live right now. It will be available until March. So I'll put the link in the chat for that as well. But this will be a good way to just see what we did last year, get a little bit familiar with the platform if you're new, and just kind of explore and, you know, just so you have an idea of what it'll look like and be like for this forum, since we are using the same portal. And I think that's it. So yeah, just definitely be on the lookout for more resources and info about this. Yeah, because we will send them, don't worry. Yeah, okay, over back to, I guess, Rosa and Pamela.
Thank you so much, Devin. And at this time, we're going to take a look at orientation and advocacy. The committee has been busy creating programming to make the CSW process comfortably available for all participants. And I will now yield the floor to Safira Ramaswar and Jillian D'Souza.
Thank you, Pamela. My name is Jillian D'Souza Nazareth, and let's talk a little more about NGO CSW. Let's talk first about what's the theme. This year's priority theme is achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls in the context of climate change, environmental and disaster risk reduction policies and programs. Yes, it is a mouthful, but let's break it down. We're talking about women and girls. That's the majority of us in this room. Climate change, possibly the single largest and shared global issue we face. And what can we as individuals, organizations, policymakers do to fix the problem? We're also going to be talking about this year's review theme, women's economic empowerment in the changing world of work, the agreed conclusions of the 61st session. I encourage you to read the report. We're posting the link in the chat box. This is some, reading for a later time. We will also be hosting a virtual orientation on the first day of CSW, which is the 14th of March, 2022. We encourage all of you to join us. Details will be posted on our website. How does all of this happen? You heard UN Women talk about it. You heard Huri allude to it a little bit. Let's talk about who drives this theme and how does the magic happen. It's the Bureau. Who and what is the Bureau? A Bureau is a group of member states playing the crucial role in facilitating the preparation and ensuring the successful outcome of the annual sessions of the Commission. Each Bureau serves 2 years. This year's chair is Her Excellency Ms. Joyini from South Africa. We also have Argentina, Germany, Latvia, and the Republic of Korea. I'm asking my colleagues Kit and Devin to just please share details in the chat box for your easy reference. What works around the Bureau or makes the Commission happen? Who and what is this Commission that we talk about? So 45 member states serve as members of the Commission on a rotational basis. The Commission consists of one representative from each of the 45 member states, which are elected by the Economic and Social Council on the basis of equitable geographical distribution. These members are elected for a period of 4 terms. We currently have 13 members from Africa, 11 members from Asia Pacific, 9 from Latin America and the Caribbean, 8 from Western Europe and other states, and 4 from Eastern Europe. The breakup of each of these members is being posted in the chat box, so you can have the list for your easy reference. What happens in the preparation? You heard from all of our regional heads a little bit earlier how each of us are preparing, so how civil society is preparing. You also heard from UN Women, from Patricia. They're also on how the preparation is happening at their end. The UN Women also convenes a virtual expert group meeting. This year's was held between the 11th and 14th of October. We're adding the link in the chat box if you wish to read the report on the outcome of that expert group meeting. Okay, so now we've explained the NGO side of things at the start of this session. And then we also, and I've just explained a little insight on how the UN and member state side of things happen. So what's the other piece of this puzzle? Where does civil society fit in? How do we engage more? A great starting point is hosting a parallel event. But you also heard people talk about what's a parallel event, you heard side event. What's the difference and what happens? So a side event is an activity organized outside of the official CSW program. Side events are typically organized or sponsored by member states and UN entities, sometimes with the participation of civil society. Parallel events are events organized by civil society through NGO CSW and takes place at the same time, in parallel to the official sessions of the Commission at the UN headquarters. We invite you to host a parallel event. Details can be found in the chat box of how to register for one. In addition, you've heard in the chat box, and Rosa allude to, you can host a virtual exhibit booth, join a conversation circle, sell products at our artisan fair, or even buy a virtual handbook advertisement. All of these opportunities are open for registration, and they will be posted on our website and social media channels. I encourage you to follow us on the social media of your choice. Social media handles and details are being posted in the chat box. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Safira, who has even more interesting information to share.
Thank you, Jillian.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I just wanted to share a couple of things between now and the lead up to the forum where you can get further information. So one is, of course, the monthly meetings of NGO CSW, which are being held on themes at the intersection of gender equality, climate, environment, and disaster risk reduction. And you'll get updates in the business portion of those monthly meetings. We also have a youth leaders and young professionals group of NGO CSW, which are regular meetings for young activists. Between now and the commission, we have mentorship, professional development sessions, as well as events that highlight the work of young activists in advancing gender equality. There'll also be a series in the weeks immediately leading up to the commission to support young people's advocacy, have some substantive preparation, and really allow young people to build those networks in preparation for engaging in the commission. And we'll have a special advocacy and orientation session for young people then as well. As Jillian mentioned, between now and the commission, please do keep an eye on our social media, on our newsletter, on the website, and that's where we'll be posting some short videos to explain certain aspects of the commission, and there'll be also resource lists, drawing from the expert group meetings, but also thematic resource lists on the theme of the commission that will be really helpful for you to look at and prepare. We also have the advocacy research group, which you'll hear a little bit more after we speak. But this group is going to be looking more closely at the research and the language of the outcome document for the commission. So I'll let them speak a little bit more to that. In terms of training and resources and preparation, one excellent resource to check out is on our website, which is NGO CSW's UN Advocacy Guide. So this is kind of training in negotiations and women's human rights, and is just a really good starting place. there will be sessions that will actually take us through them. But if you're just looking for a quick read, that guide is already available on the website for you to take a look. So that's all for me. I'll hand it back to our chairs.
Thank you, Safira. Rosa is now going to introduce the advocacy and research team.
Thank you so much, Safira and Jillian. I mean, all of our Global Planning Committee meetings and subcommittee co-chairs have been doing such a great job. As Huri mentioned at the beginning of this session, 99% of us are volunteers. So let's applaud everyone who is working on this. We are going to move on to our last segment, which is on advocacy and research. And this is a group that has been working very diligently for months now in preparation for the most important aspect of the UN CSW, which is the advocacy part. So I want to invite former co-chair of the NGO CSW, Susan O'Malley. And Susan, I politely ask if you can do a reduced presentation from what you had planned, and what we can also do is just take from questions afterwards. So Susan, are you there?
Here, I had 10 minutes. I don't want to talk too fast.
Well, let's just reduce it by half if we're able to. Thank you.
I want to start with one thing. Well, first of all, this has been wonderful, absolutely wonderful. But when I joined and got involved in the UN, I knew nothing. I was an English professor and I knew nothing. So one of the things that took me a while to learn, and I'm going to say it right now, and also very important for advocacy research, is that the UN is made up of three things, right? Member states, 193 member states. And it is important to realize that member states make the decisions. Yes, they make the decisions. We do not, and neither does UN Women. And so when you're doing advocacy research, you have to keep that in your head in terms of organizing. UN Women is an entity that we work with, an entity such as, you know, UNESCO, whatever, UN entities. They do the work of the UN. And finally, there are the NGOs. That's what we are, and that's what we've been working in terms of the advocacy research group. We are very, very important, but we are not the UN, and we do not make the decisions. We are important because I think we provide the expertise, the energy, I like to say also the moral authority, because we're free in some ways, freer than the member states that must go back, or the ambassadors that must go back to their government, freer than UN Women in many ways too. And so also we're connected with grassroots women. You know, we know what's going on. So always, always keep that in mind. All right, now, you've heard over and over again about the priority theme. Let me tell you, if you go to the UN Women website, click on CSW66, you will find such good information. It'll tell you about the priority theme. The priority theme topics come from the Beijing Platform for Action, and that the date of that is 1995, the fourth International Women's Conference. So take a look at that document. It's a little dated, but it is the most progressive document that we have. And so you should always refer to that. Let's see what I'm trying to, okay. Let me go right to the advocacy research group that I share with Ivy Koch and Erica Higbee. We have been studying all summer on the priority theme, believe it or not. And we are a global group, and you've met the global group. And so that brings such a good context to the priority theme. Now, our list of readings will be on the NGO CSW New York website. It's not yet, but I promise it will be there. To prepare for CSW 66 and also for our advocacy research group. We have taken a look at the UN Women Concept Note, again, on their webpage for CSW 66. The background papers, the expert papers, and the informational papers, all generated from the UN Women Expert Group. And that gives you the background. Now, what happens first is a zero draft. And that UN Women puts together, it's based on the priority theme. And well, I should say, first, Secretary General writes like a letter about the whole CSW 66. Then UN Women produces this zero draft. It is quite slim, but then the member states get a hold of it and they make it a very fat document and they pour in all their concerns. Okay, and then they negotiate. They negotiate often before CSW starts. What we have done in the past is we've done wonderful, wonderful documents, interventions in the language and precedent. We've had such a good time and we've had no effect. So this year we decided to change it all, which was we insisted that we meet with member states and that are on the commission and also with the Bureau. And they've been wonderful in responding. I think primarily because they were so disappointed from last year. So what we learned in our meetings is, first of all, will you send us 5 concerns and will you just send it to the Secretary General in December? Don't wait, tell them what you want, okay? And then send it to the head of the Bureau in South Africa and all the bureaus and also all of the members of the commission. Say what you want in the zero draft. Okay, that I found very exciting that they were encouraging us to do that. And so we have been meeting also talking about topics. So what we're doing right now, the group, is we're putting together our possible topics. But you know, last night, you know, when I woke up in the middle of the night, yeah, I thought we should send the 5, 6, 7 topics to our whole list of people who are here. We should organize and let all the NGOs know about what we are thinking about. Okay. So we're having wonderful, wonderful discussion about what should be included. And I won't, just to give a few examples. Find my notes. Migration, it has to be there. Disaggregating data, it has to be there. Indigenous, I'm going to go way over 5. Water, women's participation. And what's been nice is that globally, the different groups have been sending us their concerns. So now we have to figure out how to shape it and also make them all, it has to be around women and girls. And so somehow we're going to get fossil fuels wrapped around women and girls too, I hope. But I'm finding it very exciting. And I also think that we will, maybe we'll make a difference. Some of the countries have said, meet with us a second time, show us, let's have a conversation and help together. And that you can be progressive, some countries don't use that word, but be pro-women, but be realistic. And so it's been a wonderful education and a really good process. And I hope more will happen. I was given a whole list of things. I should say you should know what CEDAW is, the Committee on the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination. You can Google that, you can learn a lot, and it's legally binding. One of the things about the outcome document is it's negotiated and it's consensual. Everyone must agree. This is the way the UN works. Now, at the end, people can opt out, maybe we agree, but this little bit we don't agree with. But that's very interesting. And I'm not going to go on with the Paris Agreement and COP23 unless 26, unless there's a call for that. Anyway, I am energized by this and also by the our research advocacy research committee that I think may have an effect this year. And so when I send you all the stuff, answer. We'll answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. That was marvelous. There are so many moving parts to the Advocacy and Research Subcommittee. Again, please join our listserv. You will get follow-up information about all the subcommittees. There's a question in the chat about what the subcommittees are. We can maybe put that up again, put up that slide. And we, unfortunately, these subcommittees have been working for months now. And so they are closed, but if you continue to be involved, the process for opening subcommittees will be open when we begin organizing for the next CSW, which will be next summer, June, July of 2022. So thank you so much, Susan, and everyone who is on that committee that is really working diligently. Again, we're listing the subcommittees here. We're only highlighting a couple of subcommittees for this meeting because we have so much information and we're only giving you the very pertinent information in terms of like next steps. But if you get on our listserv, we will follow up with information. So at this point, we are going to open it up for questions, and let me hand over to my colleague Pamela and to Huri, where we will open it up for Q&A. And thank you for staying with us and going with the flow. We're so excited about all the participation still on this session and all the questions in the chat. Let's open it up for questions in the chat. Maybe we can spotlight Huri and Pamela.
Absolutely, I'm ready.
Devin.
Pamela, I don't know if you want to jump in or.
Yeah, I do. If I can jump in with the first question, it's a basic question, and I think it will set the stage. And it is, what does CSW stand for? So I just want to elaborate on that just for a minute. It's the Commission on the Status of Women, which is a functional commission of the United Nations Economic and Social Council. And it was started in 1946. It was established to promote the advancement of women throughout the world. And it met for the first time in New York in February 1947. So I think it's important for those people who are new, for them to understand that this is the foundation of what we're speaking about. And when Hudi is finished, what we'll do is get the results from the poll so we can see how many first timers actually were here. Okay, Hudi.
Okay, thank you so much. I just want to reiterate, and again, you can all see we are trying to address all of the questions, even in the chat. We're also getting personal messages. So if I'm being slow in the group message, it means I'm answering personal messages. But I am very, very excited with the presentation. And I know that we reiterated certain points in different ways, but I like that because everybody understands things differently. Now, the most important thing I want to mention is these questions about how do we join committees, or specific questions about advocacy and research. Please know that info@ngocsw.org is the way to have your voices heard. You have any questions, recommendations, or ideas, send it. We have amazing interns and of course, Devin, who really send the emails to the appropriate subcommittees, right? So just because you're not on the subcommittee doesn't mean what you want to be added to that subcommittee is not going to be heard. The other thing I want to say that we didn't address, there are written statements that civil society already submitted to the Secretariat, UN Women. That happens because the Secretariat, UN Women, also wants to hear what are the recommendations from civil society. Those statements are being processed right now and will be uploaded on the UN Women website by early January. So even before CSW 66, you will see some official civil society statements that are going to be uploaded on UN Women website. The other thing that advocacy and research group had agreed upon was that if you have statements, if you have written your own recommendation on this specific topic, please do send it to us. There will be an email going out. Again, it's a lot of information. I laugh and smile when I say that because I'm usually overwhelmed too from all the emails I keep getting, all the information I keep getting, which is one of the reasons why we are having this in-person or virtual, but face-to-face on-screen informative sessions. So I'm grateful for Rosa and Pamela who worked so hard behind the scenes to put this together. We are doing the best we can to keep sharing information, but there will be emails going out. Just take your time, take a deep breath and read those emails carefully. All your questions will be answered, or it's already on the website. So your statements will be considered by the advocacy and research group. We will not post them anywhere because we don't have the capacity for that right now to make sure that all the statements are legitimate. And you know what UN Women goes through, they take 3 months to actually process your statements to upload. We don't have that capacity to do ourselves, but your voices, I'm guaranteeing you, will be heard. You see Susan, the English professor, Dr. Susan O'Malley, is an avid reader. She loves reading civil society recommendations. See her on camera. I'm not putting her on the spot. She loves it. So we will share it with her. And Erica is another one, and Ivy. I call them my readers, my document co-chairs. Anyway, please raise your hand if you want to be heard on, during the Q&A. We will give you the mic. We are trying to answer all the questions here. We will send all the information to you. And just because you're not on a subcommittee, you're not part of NGO CSW New York, doesn't mean your voice will not be heard. I guarantee you that. Also, very important to be involved in regionals. We shared as much information as we could with the regions. I think the regional advocacy is going to be very important. So reach out to them. And if you have expertise, speak to them directly. I do see a hand. Pamela, do you want to call on people? Or?
Absolutely. Jane Colvin.
Hi, yes, I just got the answer from Devin. I was trying to find out, is there a list of participants so we can see with whom we might want to contact for collaboration at the forum?
Excellent question.
Yeah, I can take this one. Oh, sorry, there's a weird echo that I'm hearing.
Okay, that's me. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, so on the portal, there'll be a section where you can see every single person who is also on the portal. And you'll also be able to see like their location or like the region or whatever that they work for. And then like their topics of focus that they work on. So you'll be able to like search people through those kind of like filters too.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you, Devin. Are there any other questions? I don't see any raised hands. I know we were able to answer a number of questions in the chat, but are there any other questions? Well, it looks like we've done a good job in answering questions. So Hootie, I'm going to turn it over to you for closing.
Thank you so much. Yes, and I can just blabber on for a couple of minutes in case somebody thinks of something. But
Can I just highlight one question before you do the closing, Hori? Is and I've been putting this in the chat. We have monthly meetings, which the first half hour are updates on the forum and updates from UN Women. Our chair usually provides those updates from UN Women. Sometimes we might have a UN Women representative, but those are important times. We also focus on one specific thematic theme and the priority themes: climate change, environment, and disaster risk reduction. The next one will be on violence against women and climate change on November 18th. 8:30 New York time. If you just want to join for the first half hour, which will be updates, you're welcome to do that. Check our website, get on our mailing list, and you can register and get the link for the Zoom. So that's a great way to just keep up to date. And I also just want to highlight that the deadline for the parallel events is December 15th. So we will put that in the chat so that you will make sure to get your parallel event applications online. And thank you very much for joining us. Hori, back to you.
Before Huri closes, can we please have the results of the poll? Devin, if you...
Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's amazing that we still have 33% new interested advocates. Thank you all. All right, I see 2 more hands, and if we can just go to them for 30 seconds each, and then I want to do, and also pay attention to what Susan O'Malley said in the chat. Thank you so much, Susan, for opening that space up. And she is right. We do want to, we shared the results already, right? Okay.
Yes. Okay,
So,
John V.
Yeah.
John V.
Yeah.
And Hari.
Good evening from India. I just wanted to understand the process for, I mean, I'm part of an organization that has ECOSOC status. And for the review, what is the process for us to engage with the review process of the 61 region outcomes?
I'm sorry, I could not hear that. Your audio is muffled. Could you please repeat it?
Okay, I think she said something about ECOSOC accreditation. You want to apply?
No. Sorry, is this better? Are you able to hear me better now?
No.
Let me stop my video and see if this gets any better.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So no, we already have ECOSOC status, and we want to engage with the review process. So of the 61st agreed conclusions, who should be the person we need to write to, or if you can explain a little bit about that process.
Okay, should I jump in?
Please.
Okay, if you do have ECOSOC accreditation, then if there is an opportunity for civil society to engage in person, you will see information from UN Women on their website. So keep following up with UN Women. But you also had the advantage, if you have ECOSOC accreditation, you could have submitted statements. And we sent out emails. When UN Women opened up that application process, we sent out emails that said, civil society, here's how you send in your statement. That deadline is closed now. So the statement through the CSW portal with UN Women application is closed. But if you did not do that and you still want to be heard, you have strong opinions about what should be in the zero draft or in the negotiations, as Susan O'Malley said, please send it to us and she will consider them. Another way is if, like I said, there is in-person meetings, we will send out information on how to apply for in-person gatherings. I doubt that's going to happen unless you are already a resident of New York City. I doubt UN building will open for international civil society anytime soon. And I'm sorry about that, but that is really just what the pandemic brought to us. And I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you very much, Lori. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. And Priyo Biswa.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I have a very different type of question. I'm from Bangladesh, and here the religion identity for a woman is an instrument for violence. If the 100 girl, the religion minority, the Hindu or the indigenous people or Buddhist are raped, 98% or 99% rape done by the Muslim community. So I don't want to mention the religion, but I want to tell how we can include the religion identity of a woman, is make her more vulnerable, and how we can address this issue in this forum. This is the identity, but the religion identity is This is so vulnerability for us. I can't explain you.
Okay. So that is a specific advocacy issue that I don't want to dive in right now. And it's not because it's not important. It obviously is important, but we can certainly add your concerns to the, to the appeals of what we want to be heard at the UN. So please do send us an email with specific, if you want to give examples or even just like, what do you mean exactly? And, we will definitely consider and see how that, I mean, I'm not sure if you want to make that connection to climate justice or economic, part of the problem with CSW is this priority theme and emerging theme. And there's some recommendations, actually suggestions of not having themes at all so that we can address all issues at once. You can see how complicated that can get. I literally can talk a half an hour about this, but I don't want to bore people with it. There's so many different ways of advocating at UN for specific topics, group topics, and all of it can be just mind-boggling. We're trying to just like sift through all of this and see how we can advance specific issues so that we can see results. And one of the discussions that we've been having is that with NGO CSW, the issues are so wide, they're so deep. The marginalized, as we said in the chat, between the indigenous, LGBTQI, there are so many marginalized societies, including religious societies. But how do we make sure that we advance all together? Do we highlight one issue? This is something that we can discuss for hours. So thank you for bringing your issues to light. And then please send us an email to see how we can address them.
Thank you so much for hearing me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And if anybody, Ivy, do you want to jump in and add anything to that? I'm not sure if you, oh, there's another hand.
Oh, Rima.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. Yes, it's just a technical issue. I just joined, and is there a lag time between joining and having your account being active?
Nope.
Because it's not allowing me to access my profile. That's all what I wanted to.
Oh, that's a technical issue.
On
Devin,
what?
go for it.
On what are you joining?
I joined as a member of CSW.
Okay, can you email us at info@NGOCSW.org and then we can look into it and figure it out.
Okay, info at
NGOCSW.org.
Got it. Thank you so much. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Rima.
No,
and we have
great event. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have one last question from Radha Podel. Radha, your hand is up. Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much for timing. I'm from Nepal. I would like to share about the urgency of dignified menstruation in the era of 2030 agenda, why it is not the issue of CSW Forum 66. Menstrual discrimination, that means taboos, stigma, restriction, discrimination, abuses, violence associated with the menstruation throughout the life cycle is practicing across the globe with the different name, forms, and magnitude. But the CSW is not making it as a priority issue. Menstrual discrimination is a form of sexual and gender-based violence according to the definition, even definition of sexual and gender-based violence, and is a violation of the human right. But it is not a priority, and it has a strong connection with the peace, with the human right, with the empowerment, with the GB, sexual and gender-based violence, SDG, the climate change, and everywhere. And in this connection, I would like to request you all to incorporate this dignified menstruation is a priority issue of CSW, because since 2014, the global stakeholders start to talk about the menstrual hygiene. The hygiene doesn't guarantee the dignity. Hygiene is a development agenda, but the menstrual dignified menstruation is a human right agenda, and it is a silence is overlooked across the globe in the history of human right development and feminism. That's it.
Thank you so much. Now, this is yet another very specific topic about menstruation. And by the way, I don't know if you know, there are some incredible organizations addressing this issue, and we have come a long way in the rights. But you're right, it's just one of those issues that affects girls in education and everything else. I'm sorry, Pamela, I feel like I interrupted you.
No, you didn't. I was going to ask you if you could please close.
Yes. I think it is time. We really went over time. All 255 of you that are still here, I want to thank you so much for your patience. We are doing the best we can in communicating what we know, what we can do. It doesn't mean we're perfect. It doesn't mean we're not stumbling over each other sometimes, but the one thing it means that we are all so passionate. I have such an amazing team. I'm going to reiterate and close with that. My executive committee team, my co-chairs for the forum, and our global sisterhood with the regions. I am so grateful for all of you. And just remember, our operating system and what we recommend for all of us to adopt to is collaborative, transparent, shared leadership model. It works. It's fantastic. And let's just come from a place of abundance, positivity,
Absolutely.
and really work hard to push for our rights, all of our rights. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye,
Adios.
everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming.